Yu was a member of the science club and had always dreamed of starting a small business. Back in middle school, he discovered just how hard that really was. He handmade 100 flower-themed accessories, necklaces, to be exact, but only managed to sell 5 of them during the school festival. Naturally, he was crushed. As he walked into his booth, disappointed and exhausted, he was greeted by a lively girl with bouncy green hair standing inside. She teased him, asking where he had disappeared to and why he left the booth unattended. Yu shrugged. There were plenty of girls who stopped by, but none of them bought anything. He couldn't have known that while he was gone. This mystery girl had sold 27 of his accessories. She had heard from their teacher about Yu's attempt to sell all 100 pieces. And she was genuinely curious about why he was trying so hard. Even though they had just met, she clung to him like an old friend, throwing Yu into a state of complete confusion. He wasn't used to pretty girls talking to him so freely. And he was terrified she might laugh at him. Caught up in the moment, Yu confessed. He told her that his dream was to open a shop selling floral accessories. But his parents insisted he take the civil service exam instead. That led to a huge argument at home. His parents eventually gave in, but only under one condition: he had to sell all 100 accessories at the school festival. As expected, she burst out laughing. "What kind of parents don't worry about their kids?" she said. Which only embarrassed him further. Still, with 68 pieces left to sell, the girl, Himari, declared she would take care of the rest the next day and prove his parents wrong. Thanks to Himari's help, Yu met his goal and sold all 100 pieces. A while later, both of them entered high school. Himari had become popular among the girls and often promoted Yu's accessories to her friends. Yu now had a small online shop that operated like a family business since minors weren't allowed to run companies independently. Although Yu didn't love the setup, especially since his parents still controlled the budget for the flowers, he accepted it. He enjoyed working alone, creating in peace. That solitude helped him feel like his true self. Even if others called him an introvert, he didn't care. But then Himari barged into his workspace, startling him. He hated being interrupted while working, and she had already been hanging around for over an hour. But as soon as the work ended, she pounced on him like an overexcited puppy. It was as if she were saying, "How can you not appreciate having such a cute girl as your friend?" Yu admitted to himself, yes, she was cute and charming. But he stayed composed. To outsiders, it looked like they were dating. But in truth, they were stuck in that awkward space between friendship and romance. Back in middle school, Himari offered to help Yu sell his accessories. Not just out of kindness, she genuinely wanted to co-manage the shop with him. She had watched him closely and even knew about the secret garden behind the school that Yu cared for like it was his beloved. At first, Himari just wanted to buy a necklace for herself. But when she saw how bad he was at selling, she pulled in a favor from her brother to help promote the shop. She made Yu promise, with his eyes, that he'd take responsibility. Because she loved the look in his eyes when he worked. It was sincere and beautiful. And she didn't want anyone else to see it. In return, she would help him sell accessories. That's how their close friendship started. Later on, Himari even turned down a job offer from a company because they didn't allow her to promote Yu's work. She jokingly swore she'd marry him by 30 if he still hadn't opened a real shop. Her wealthy older brother also seemed to like Yu, which added another layer of pressure. Yu still didn't have a girlfriend. Himari stuck to him like glue. And deep down, he couldn't forget his childhood crush. Himari, on the other hand, had dated a few guys but dumped them all. It was like she only saw other boys as passing entertainment. Rumors started flying about her and Yu. One day, Himari warned that she might be forced into an arranged marriage before she turned 30. Unless someone kidnapped her first. Yu was baffled. Did that still happen these days? But since Himari came from a prestigious family, political marriages weren't out of the question. Yu jokingly offered to marry her as a last resort, which made her laugh until she cried. Yu's daily life had followed this routine for 2 years. School by day, deliveries by night. Back in middle school, they once talked about love. Himari didn't want to date anyone, and Yu's eccentric hobbies kept potential partners far away. So they made a pact: if they were still single by 30, they'd just marry each other. She said she hoped to be the reason he opened a real shop one day. But Yu quickly shut that idea down. he preferred graceful girls. Not someone like Himari. Still, many boys knew Yu and Himari were close and confessed their feelings to her anyway. She rejected them all. Even Himari wasn't sure what her feelings for Yu really were. Did she want him to succeed just so they could kiss or sleep together? That wasn't her style. She just hoped his future girlfriend would be okay with their unique friendship. One day, while out buying milk for Himari, Yu had an unexpected run-in with a stunning girl. He noticed she was wearing a bracelet he had made for the school festival, the Queen of the Night piece. Suddenly, the bracelet snapped. The girl looked heartbroken. Yu offered to fix it, but she gave him a suspicious glare, like he had bad intentions. Yu panicked. It had been ages since he tried talking to a stranger. Still, he felt compelled to tell Himari about the incident, because that bracelet was his first design. Of course, Himari couldn't resist teasing him. Later, a boy named Shinji came looking for Yu. According to Yu, Shinji was a notorious flirt. Himari and Shinji immediately clashed. They had dated back in middle school and now fought like cats and dogs. They screamed insults at each other in the hallway. Himari accused Shinji of cheating on her with 5 other girls, making her the school pariah. Shinji fired back that she had no right to complain if she never really liked him. But his real reason for showing up was that the girl from yesterday, the one with the bracelet, wanted to see Yu again. Her name was Jin Inomoto, or just Jin for short. Turns out, Jin and Himari already knew each other. Their families were connected. Himari's brother and Jin's sister were classmates. On the day Yu had sold accessories, Jin's sister had attended the festival to support him. It was likely she had given the bracelet to Jin. Later, Yu carefully examined the bracelet. His focused expression looked so serious that Jin thought it was beyond repair. Himari explained that Yu was just shy and handed Jin a mirror. Horrified by her own reflection, Jin freaked out. Himari kept poking fun at her until Jin finally snapped and scolded her. This was the first time Yu had ever seen Himari completely dominated by someone else. Even then, Himari bounced back, trying to joke again, only to get punished again by Jin. Meanwhile, Yu had entered full concentration mode, fixing the bracelet with laser focus. Jin watched in awe. When he finally finished, Jin sincerely thanked him. After school, the trio walked together, but Yu decided to head home on foot instead of taking the bus. That's when Jin asked about his relationship with Himari. Himari explained that they were just friends, until the day Yu gave up making accessories. She wanted to say how much she loved seeing the passion in his eyes. But she hesitated, unsure if Jin would understand. Then Jin surprised her with a question. Had Himari ever invited a complete stranger to hang out? Her mom always said only kind people could create things that touched the heart. That's how Jin felt about the person who made those beautiful accessories she always saw on Himari's social media, Yu. In that moment, Himari realized something. Maybe she had been clinging too tightly to her special place in Yu's life, forgetting that others could appreciate him too. But then, what exactly were her feelings for Yu? Just friendship? Or something more she hadn't dared to admit? That evening, while Yu was quietly eating dinner, his older sister Sakura walked in. Yu shared what had happened earlier, that a girl had asked him to fix her bracelet. Sakura smiled knowingly. It seemed to her that Yu needed some fresh inspiration. Most of his recent designs were clearly influenced by Himari. His newer pieces looked too similar. Like an unchanging little garden. They lacked the thrill of love and the heartbreak of loss. In their family, there was a long-standing joke. If Yu couldn't open his own accessory shop before turning 30, he'd have to inherit the family's convenience store and marry Himari to take care of his sister into old age. That thought alone left Yu speechless. Despite how intertwined the two families were, Yu and Himari were still just friends, the strongest platonic duo anyone had ever seen. But what Sakura said hit home. Yu didn't have any loyal customers yet, and each of his creations had always been a spontaneous burst of inspiration. He cherished those fleeting sparks of emotion, the same way one might cherish the sweetness of love. Elsewhere, in the school hallway, Shinji was chatting with Jin about her encounter with Yu. He suspected that Jin had gone to see Yu to confirm something for herself. Shinji, ever the self-declared love guru, thought maybe his advice could help. But before he could say more, Himari suddenly burst onto the scene, sparking her usual chaos. The two bickered like cats and dogs. As always, Shinji eventually left to help a junior from the music club. Meanwhile, Himari turned to Jin and shared that she had a brilliant idea, which instantly gave Jin a bad feeling. Yu, minding his own business in the flower garden behind school, was suddenly ambushed by Himari again. He told her that he planned to shift the theme of his accessory line from generic beauty to love. That got a huge laugh out of her. But surprisingly, Himari thought it made perfect sense. Most of Yu's customers were girls, after all, and girls loved love. Even though she admitted she didn't fully understand love herself, Himari still believed she was an expert. To her, love was about kissing or touching, and Yu was utterly horrified. That wasn't love, it was just lust. Still, Himari argued that desire could lead to love. Then she tossed a few suggestive questions at Yu about his interaction with Jin, making him feel like she was eyeing him the way creepy guys eye girls in dating sims. But wasn't she in the same boat? She'd never been in love either. Yu confessed he'd never even kissed a girl. Himari, with her usual boldness, suggested they try it, with each other. That left Yu absolutely stunned. He refused. Didn't kissing require real feelings? But Himari countered, they were close friends. Didn't that count? And wasn't a single kiss enough to understand what it felt like? Yu was floored. Himari had some wild ideas. But her logic always went sideways. Before he could argue more, she grabbed his hand and smugly declared that holding hands and kissing were both just forms of physical contact. So what was the big deal? Apparently, the real weirdo here was Himari. She even tapped her lips, inviting him to go for it, while Yu tried desperately to calm his racing heart. Surely, this was just one of her classic pranks. But as Himari's face drew closer, flushed with embarrassment, Yu didn't know what to think. And just as their lips were about to meet, she burst into wild laughter like a maniac. Furious, Yu pulled away. Himari just smiled innocently, pretending she hadn't tried seducing him seconds earlier. To make up for the joke, she invited him to hang out on Saturday. That weekend, Yu was picked up by Himari's older brother, the same guy who treated him to sushi last time, because that's what future brothers-in-law do. He joked. They talked about Sakura, Yu's sister. Back in high school, she'd been something of a prodigy, which made Yu feel a little insecure. But Barry, Himari's brother, reassured him their family would always welcome someone like Yu. Sadly, Barry had to work later and couldn't join them for the movie. His personality was just as unpredictable as Himari's, leaving Yu constantly guessing what he'd say next. Soon, Himari appeared, immediately roasting Yu's sense of fashion. He had to admit, Himari always dressed with style. She told him to dress properly because this wasn't just a hangout for two. A special guest would be joining them, Jin. As soon as Jin arrived, she kept her usual cool distance. To Yu, it felt like talking to an NPC in a game. When she found out Yu was struggling to find inspiration for his next collection, Himari boldly nominated Jin as his new model. That took Yu by complete surprise. Jin agreed, explaining that she wanted to do something to thank him for fixing her bracelet. Himari suggested Yu should work at Jin's family bakery for a while. New model. New inspiration, right? Yu hesitated, worried he'd be a burden. While Jin went to call her mom for permission, Himari explained that Jin was shy and wouldn't say yes unless Yu agreed first. Agreed to what exactly? Yu asked, but she just smirked. Later, they visited a big accessory store in the mall. The moment Yu stepped in, he transformed. His eyes lit up as he talked passionately about designs. Himari and Yu started picking out accessories for Jin, trying to find which colors and styles suited her best. To help Jin feel more comfortable, Himari stirred the pot with some classic pranks, targeting Yu, of course. Eventually, they decided to try putting accessories directly on Jin. Her fair skin, Himari noted, would look great with her hair tied up. She handed Yu a necklace and told him to try it on her. Jin didn't seem to mind, so Yu gently fastened the necklace. But he didn't realize how red she had turned, completely flustered. Himari immediately teased that the outfit made her look seductive, pushing Jin into an even deeper blush. Each time Himari went too far, Jin punished her like a teacher disciplining a mischievous cat. Now that Yu had what he needed, they just needed to grab a few flowers. That's when Jin paused in front of a flower stand, staring silently at a bloom that triggered a vague childhood memory, one she couldn't fully recall. Without a word, she walked away. Himari nudged Yu. You better go apologize, she said, even though it was her who teased Jin earlier. Ever since that day, Himari had been rooting for Yu and Jin. She saw the same wonderful qualities in Yu that Jin now recognized too. Yu caught up with Jin and apologized. Then he asked if they might have known each other as kids. Jin explained that Himari's mom used to order cakes from her family's bakery, and once asked Jin to befriend her daughter. Yu then asked what kind of flowers Jin liked, wanting to design something based on it. She said she liked big-leafed flowers. Big leaves, like big hearts. Yu teased. He ultimately picked tulips, for their symbolism of love and sincerity. They bloom in controlled environments, sensitive to temperature. You could tell a wild one from a single glance. He was about to explain more when he realized he was rambling and apologized. But Jin asked, "Why do you love flowers so much?" Yu paused. It was personal. Still, when he looked into her eyes, he shared a childhood memory, during a family trip to the botanical gardens. He got lost. There, he met a little girl who was also lost. He helped her find her parents and even bought her a flower with his pocket money. She had promised to wear it in her hair every day. That experience sparked Yu's love for plants. And ever since, he'd hoped to meet that girl again. He had only ever told Himari, until now. Jin quietly admitted that she already knew the story. And she remembered the flower. It was a bright red hibiscus. It had suited her perfectly. Yu was stunned. The girl he'd been searching for all this time was standing right in front of him. Tulips symbolized love, but hibiscus? That represented delicate new love and refinement. They exchanged contact info, but when Yu called Himari afterward, she didn't answer. She had tossed her phone away. Himari had known all along, since that day at the bus stop, that Jin was the girl from Yu's childhood. Maybe fate had brought them back together. And maybe, she thought, they didn't even need her help. If her two best friends were finally finding each other, shouldn't she be happy? Then why did she feel so distant now, watching Yu look at Jin with eyes she had never seen before? She didn't know what her feelings for Yu really were anymore. And worst of all, she wasn't sure if she could truly wish him happiness. Yu had messaged Himari, hoping to confirm whether she truly wanted to end their friendship, but she never replied. He tried to understand. Maybe Himari didn't like Jane being his model, but ending everything over that felt extreme. Yu still brought her favorite milk, but neither of them spoke. So he devised a childish plan. He ordered Himari's favorite food and pretended he couldn't finish it, hoping she'd take the bait. Instead, she scoffed as if she didn't care. It made Yu want to scream. Was she really giving up on their shared shop? When Himari started crying, the boys nearby glared at Yu like he was the villain. He couldn't escape this without looking like the bad guy. Suddenly, he received a forwarded email. Himari had accepted an offer from an entertainment company. He was stunned. The next day, Himari continued to avoid Yu and even told Jane she would be moving to Tokyo. She wished them happiness, which only confused Yu more. Jane brought cookies and Yu brought milk, hoping they could use the combo to lure Himari out. When she showed up, she scolded them for using such childish tricks, then promptly devoured both items. But she still insisted she had nothing to say and left again. Yu chased after her and demanded to know why she'd accepted Jane as his model. Himari slapped him. "Don't blame me for this. I'm mad at you because of this," she said. All Yu wanted was an explanation for the water she'd dumped on his head. If they were truly best friends, shouldn't he be the first to know why? Or was he just a tool? Someone who made accessories and fetched snacks? Himari pushed him away when he touched her. And in the scuffle, her cherished necklace broke. Yu apologized immediately, but her silence made him feel like nothing more than her assistant. Himari, in turn, accused him of treating her like a sidekick. Giving Jane the model role felt like taking away what was hers by right. She understood that Yu liked Jane. She'd liked someone before too. She knew how it felt and genuinely wanted to support them. But she couldn't stand always being second. She left behind their friendship necklace and walked away. After school, Jane asked Shinji to check on Yu. Shinji admitted he had encouraged Jane to model. But it wasn't about sabotaging anything, it was about giving Jane confidence. He also noted that if Yu really had no feelings for Himari, he wouldn't have hesitated to be with Jane already. That meant Yu cared for Himari more than he admitted. This realization left Yu feeling guilty. In matters of love and friendship, The real question wasn't who you liked more, it was who mattered most. Shinji confessed he had stirred the pot, not expecting Himari to move to Tokyo just to forget Yu. That meant she did have feelings for him. If she left, Jane would carry the guilt. As Jane's childhood friend, Yu didn't want that. Still, Shinji said he wouldn't be responsible for anything. Yu called him oddly decent, which caught Shinji off guard. Before leaving, he told Yu, "Forget Himari. Jane's the better choice." But Yu couldn't forget. That night, he asked Himari if she was really going to Tokyo. She said yes, she had to prove her worth. And Yu would never understand. But he did. He knew what it was like to pour your soul into your craft and have no one care, until someone like Himari showed up and made the world notice. Because of her, his accessories were known. He had promised to always make them for her. He had broken that promise. He asked if she could stay. But Himari was stubborn. She was already planning a future in Tokyo. What Yu didn't know was that Himari had no plans to go. She had just wanted to scare him. Tokyo, with its cramped streets and strangers, held no appeal. When her necklace broke, she brushed it off, but the tears still came. She figured Yu would beg for forgiveness and make her a new necklace. She even drafted a list of demands, like getting that kiss she'd teased him about. But none of it happened. Still, she gave him more time to grovel. They didn't speak all day. A week passed. Himari forgave Yu on her own, deciding he was probably in shock about her move to Tokyo. Out of curiosity, she checked Yu's brand page and found his latest accessory line, love-themed, and Jane as the new model. It stung. Maybe Yu really wanted her gone. But some part of her still hoped he'd beg her to stay. Later, while watering plants, she bumped into her brother Hibari, who had left work early. He scolded her for using Tokyo to emotionally manipulate Yu. She was shocked. 2 years ago, Hibari had begged Jane's sister to help Yu sell those 100 accessories. He did it not just for Himari's sake, but because he genuinely liked Yu's work. And she had once vowed never to stop supporting Yu's shop. So what had changed? Finally, Himari admitted the truth. She had fallen for Yu. Her brother wasn't surprised. He asked, which is more important, possessing Yu or caring for him? He spoke of hard decisions, sacrifices. As a civil servant, he'd faced criticism when a road project displaced families. But it had brought long-term growth. Sometimes, you had to give up 99 things for the one that mattered. Himari didn't fully understand, but she knew she had a choice to make. After school, she met Yu in the clubroom. They both had something important to say. But when she asked him to go first, he accidentally handed her a withdrawal letter. He explained, he was planning to transfer schools to Tokyo. Yu told her he had realized, through Shinji's words, that the most important person in his life was her. Even if he made 1,000 accessories, it meant nothing without Himari. She was moved. She liked the way they laughed together, the way they watched silly videos. Even if Yu stopped making accessories, she wanted to be by his side. Then, Himari revealed her plan. She was never going to Tokyo. And now she would keep Yu's withdrawal letter forever. Just in case, if he got any closer. She warned, she might kiss him, and she didn't want her first kiss to taste like yogurt. She asked if they could go back to being best friends. Jane would stay his model. But Himari wanted just a little more of his attention. Yu gave her a new accessory, a ring that declared her his one and only best friend. "I might upset you," he said, "but that doesn't mean anyone else matters more." As always, Himari tackled him with laughter. He gently slipped the ring onto her finger. If neither of them married by 30, they'd end up together, just like they promised. And so, they were back to being best friends. Or as Himari would put it, if we're doing this, then I'll be the best damn best friend ever. Just to make it harder on herself. All her real feelings were left inside that ring. Meanwhile, Yu quietly ordered a pot of purple tulips, likely for Himari. But he couldn't explain what they meant, because if she rejected them, that would be too painful. Nobody ever said being best friends was this hard. After discovering that Jane was actually his long-lost first love from the botanical garden, Yu couldn't sleep for 2 nights. The thought of it consumed him. He wanted to tell Himari, but she didn't respond to any of his messages. At school, she kept finding ways to avoid him altogether. It made Yu wonder, was she mad at him? Ever since that hangout, Jane had also started chatting with Yu more. But when he didn't greet her one morning, her face fell into an obvious pout. Himari, though still her playful self, refused to face Yu directly. Deep down, she was trying to step back and let her childhood friends reconnect. But her sneaky hiding only made her look like a weirdo. Eventually, Jane had to bait her with the lie that she brought cookies just to lure her out. Himari, naturally, blamed Jane for being too rough. She claimed she was only teasing Yu. Not even touching a hair on Jane's head. Yu had to admit, the two girls had reached a level of closeness beyond besties. Out of the blue, Jane gave Yu a box of cookies she had baked herself and asked to meet after school. The moment she walked away, Himari slipped into matchmaker mode. So you two call each other by name now? What's stopping you from dating already? That's when Yu realized, Himari had known all along that Jane was his first love. She must have eavesdropped on his conversation. Lately, she'd been acting strange, constantly bringing up Jane, and then there was that whole test kiss thing that made her blush like a tomato. Still, Yu assured her nothing had happened between him and Jane. Sure, Jane might have been his first love, but it could have just been one-sided. She probably didn't want him getting any strange ideas about them. But Himari just called him a hopeless idiot and walked off without another word. Even when she was being silly as always, Yu couldn't shake the thought, was she kind of adorable? During club time, Yu was explaining his accessory work to Jane. Himari, who'd heard it 100 times, tried to mess with him, only to be caught mid-prank. Thankfully, Jane, her natural counter, was there. With a dramatic sigh, Himari sulked about not being able to flirt with Yu like she used to. Keep your flirting to a minimum. Okay? Jane's right here. Yu tried to rein her in. But Himari fired back. So if she weren't here, we'd be kissing again like before? Her words made things so awkward that Yu started explaining, and accidentally confirmed they really had thought about kissing. Completely forgetting Jane was still listening. Embarrassed, Jane excused herself to practice music, while Himari laughed hysterically. Clearly, she was getting back at him for teasing her earlier that day. Then, out of nowhere, Himari pulled Yu down onto the desk. Hey, if you already thought we kissed, maybe we should find out what it really feels like. She reminded him of their 30-year pact, and even offered herself as a shield against arranged marriage. Yu thought she was joking, until she said she wasn't. You're literally making accessories about love right now. Why don't we try it? In a moment of hesitation, Yu leaned in. Her expression seemed serious this time. But just before their lips met, a loud click. She snapped a photo and ran off laughing. While Yu was still trying to calm his heart, she muttered, "Coward, I gave you a green light and you still didn't do anything." That hit him hard. What was going on in her head? Later, while buying drinks, Yu ran into Shinji, who immediately teased, "So, how are things going with Jane?" Yu stammered, nothing was going on. But Shinji didn't believe him. She made you cookies. Man, that's love. He even called Yu the long-lost prince Jane had been waiting for, except he was too scared to make a move. Yu begged him not to say weird stuff to Jane. Lately, Himari had also been acting distant, but strangely affectionate. Shinji, self-proclaimed love expert, was certain something big was about to happen, either a confession or a total meltdown. That afternoon, while Yu explained different flowers to Jane, Himari popped up again, teasing them for flirting in broad daylight. As Yu tried to photograph Jane for inspiration, he realized he had no new ideas. All his past designs were rooted in Himari's tastes. But Jane was different. He wanted to tell her that she reminded him of a flower, soft and quiet, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. So Himari whispered something into Jane's ear. And whatever it was, it made her look at Yu with an expression full of melancholy. That tiny moment helped Yu capture the perfect photo of Jane. Himari then revealed she was just joking and got smacked by Jane for it, hard. On the way home, Yu asked what Himari had whispered, but she refused to tell. He figured it wasn't anything good. The photo he took was perfect for an ad. Tulips symbolized the expression of love. That gave Himari an idea. She wanted Yu to design a love-themed accessory for her. If I ever fall in love, I bet I'd look cute wearing it. Yu raised his phone to take a picture of her but hesitated. He couldn't say it out loud, but he felt an overwhelming urge to keep Himari to himself. That wasn't friendship, it was something deeper. The bracelet she wore was meant to symbolize eternal friendship, but now it felt like a promise he might not be able to keep. So when Himari joked again about the accessory, Yu rejected her request, and even though it was just a joke, it still hurt her. She had secretly hoped he'd say it didn't suit her, not flatly refuse. That kind of response made her feel like he didn't want things to go further. Maybe Yu was happy just being friends, but Himari hadn't felt that way in a long time. Their so-called unbreakable friendship had quietly turned into a wall, one that only she wanted to climb over. Still, she told herself to endure. If she could just hold on, they could stay best friends forever. That evening, the group celebrated Yu's new collection at a sushi dinner. Of course, Himari and Shinji couldn't go 5 minutes without arguing like mortal enemies. In the middle of the meal, Yu revealed his latest piece, a hair clip made from real tip flowers. Its beauty left everyone stunned. Yu lifted the case, intending to give it to Jane, but before he could, Himari instinctively reached out to stop him, only to awkwardly recover by cheering them on like a supportive friend. Shinji wasn't fooled. You should put it on her yourself, he said. So Yu, heart racing, gently pinned the clip into Jane's hair. It was such an intimate moment that even Himari and Shinji had to look away. The whole scene looked like something out of a first date. While Himari stepped out, Shinji leaned in and whispered to Yu that Jane would make a perfect model. Her photos were stunning, and she clearly brought out his creativity. But before Yu could respond, Himari returned and immediately objected. She'll be gossiped about like crazy if she becomes your model. Shinji, unimpressed, muttered that Himari sounded threatened. Himari tried to justify it. Jane had her hands full with school reports about flowers, and so on, but Shinji saw right through it. Yu, however, agreed with Himari's earlier idea. A new model meant new inspiration. And wasn't this whole thing her idea to begin with? He reminded her that she wasn't competing for love, so she didn't need to feel cornered. Then he admitted, her constant teasing was wearing him out. Having Jane around gave him some space to breathe. He even apologized for not taking her side. That hurt deeply. Himari smiled, but inside, she was crumbling. And then, splash, she dumped an entire glass of milk over Yu's head. Everyone froze. Through clenched teeth, she muttered, "Let's just end this. We're not friends anymore." Yu stood there, speechless. As Himari stormed out, only one thing was clear to everyone at the table. Shinji had officially poked the wrong nest. In the past, Yu had always loved beautiful things, but to him, nothing compared to the beauty of flowers. He dreamed that one day, when he had his own shop, he would grow his own blooms for his creations. One afternoon, as the final school bell rang, Yu was in a hurry. But Himari was already waiting outside his classroom to invite him to lunch. He had planned to eat alone, but before he could say anything, Himari smacked him in the face with a milk box. Her expression said it all. "A pretty girl just asked you to lunch. Quit whining and go." At that moment, 2 classmates invited Himari to eat with them and warned her not to hang out with someone as weird as Yu. Without missing a beat, she kicked one of them and dragged Yu off. When she realized Yu had tried to dodge lunch with her, she punished him by tickling him non-stop. Yu explained that they looked too different. People always told him they didn't match. Himari was well connected, and Yu thought she had social standards to keep. But Himari dismissed that as nonsense. She had once been offered a relationship by a guy who promised to dump his girlfriend for her. She even got cursed out by his girlfriend, accused of stealing someone else's man. Himari understood Yu's point. Maybe love looked better when you had lots of friends. But she didn't want beautiful moments. She wanted something whole. She liked the way Yu's eyes lit up when he worked. His passion made him confident. That's why she wanted them to stay best friends forever. And she hoped Yu would never fall in love with her, because that would only mess everything up. She even recorded him saying they'd always be best friends, which drove Yu nuts. She joked that if anyone ever insulted Yu in front of her, she'd pretend they were dating. She casually grabbed his hand like they were a couple. 2 years ago, Yu had promised never to fall for her. But now, he was starting to feel something. He missed his chance to confess because he was too shy. When he smiled at Himari in the schoolyard the next day, she thought he'd gone crazy from the rain. Since rings weren't allowed at school, Himari wore Yu's gift around her neck instead. He suggested replacing the string, but she refused. It was her first gift from him. Yu realized he had almost confessed. Thankfully, her cold reaction helped him calm down. Still, it was the perfect chance to get back at her for all her teasing. Yu suddenly pinned Himari against the wall and said she was the only one who truly understood him. If she was ready, they could try dating. Then, just as quickly, he laughed it off as a prank. Himari wasn't surprised. His joke wasn't even good. But what Yu didn't know was that she had to run to the bathroom afterward to cool down. She had almost believed him. Later that day, she found out Yu had turned in a blank midterm. The teacher called him to the office. Yu explained he hadn't completely blanked. He answered 2 questions before dozing off. He'd been up late for days making a ring for her. Now, he had to retake the test Sunday. If he passed all his subjects, the school would forgive the incident. Himari also broke the news that everyone now knew Yu was the accessory creator. But Yu wasn't upset. He sometimes posted his face online anyway. Himari, however, was worried. If he got too famous, cute girls might line up to model for him. After all, they had just fought about Jane. Yu reassured her, as long as he wore the ring, Himari would always be his #1 model. That made Himari want to say, "So you do like me?" But instead, she smacked him. Yu shouted at her, but she blamed him for being too corny. They didn't notice that Jane had been watching them the entire time. Her expression dark as a thundercloud. Jane apologized for interrupting and walked away, making them both feel awful. Himari began to panic. Now that Yu's identity was public, she needed a plan to keep him to herself. Yu debated whether to explain everything to Jane. After class, Himari confronted Shinji, the guy who leaked Yu's identity. He claimed he just wanted Jane to win. Himari swore she wouldn't let Yu get stolen that easily. But Shinji said if she was serious, they should go to Tokyo. Staying here made her look weak. Trying to help Yu with his studies, Himari invited him to her house so her brother Barry could tutor him. The last time Yu had visited was a year ago, and he was still embarrassed about the giant banner Barry had put up. Once inside the mansion, Himari claimed they were alone. Yu was immediately suspicious. It had to be a trap. But she insisted Barry had only sent his notes. Nothing more. Yu was confused, but still walked right into the setup. In reality, Barry had rearranged everything to come home and help his future brother-in-law. He believed Yu shone brightest while making accessories and didn't want school tests holding him back. Barry vowed to teach him all the knowledge of high school in one go, so he'd never need to cram again. Yu was terrified. Himari had promised to study with him but disappeared. A real best friend. Huh? Yu didn't get a break until late that night. Barry had been stressed at work lately, so tutoring Yu was also his way of unwinding. Yu thought Himari looked beautiful in her yukata. It matched perfectly with a necklace. But she caught his gaze and called him a perv. Their bathroom was so fancy it felt like a spa. While wondering where Himari usually sat, she suddenly burst in, making Yu scream like a shy girl. She offered to scrub his back to help him relax. Since they were just friends, Yu suspected it was another prank but agreed to see where it went. He didn't expect her to return dressed for the task. He waited eagerly. But instead of Himari, Barry walked in. Yu nearly lost it. Barry wasn't fazed. He was happy to see the two had reconciled. Himari had always been spoiled, so he didn't know if she had apologized properly. Turns out, she felt like she was the one who should apologize. Barry, surprised, asked for details. When he learned Himari had almost scrubbed Yu's back, he turned ominous. She had actually planned to, but panicked and sent Barry in to save her. Then came a knock at the door. Himari froze, thinking it was Yu. It was Barry again. No need to guess what happened next. The next morning, after a fierce lecture from Barry, he drove both to school. There, they ran into Jane again. still visibly upset. When she heard that Yu had been spending time at Himari's house, she decided she'd join the tutoring sessions. She wasn't about to lose Yu without a fight. At that time, Yu was extremely worried because he never expected Jin to be so serious about the group study. But what worried him the most was that Jane was also going to stay the night with him, even though they hadn't been close for long. However, there was no need for Yu to worry, as Jane had received permission from her parents, which made Yu scream internally. Just then, Himari revealed to Yu that her older brother Bari refused to tutor Jin because he really disliked her sister. Yu still wanted to let Jin study together because she was quite enthusiastic about it. This made Himari think that Yu might have ulterior motives with Jin, which made Yu incredibly frustrated. Once again, he fell into a trap set by his mischievous best friend, which led to him getting scolded by the teacher. By now, Yu's true identity as a skilled artisan had been exposed, and he was approached by two girls from school. These girls came to place an order for Yu's accessories, but he politely declined because he was busy preparing for his re-exam, leaving them disappointed as they had assumed he was a model student. However, Shin later saved him from the awkward situation. Meanwhile, Jin had gone to Himari to ask what she should bring for the study session, making it hard for Himari to answer. When Jin learned that the session would not be held at Himari's house, she seemed very disappointed. Outside the school, it was revealed that the person who had exposed Yu's identity was Shinji, but he showed no remorse. Afterward, Yu asked Shin to convince Jin to change her mind about the group study and the sleepover, which intrigued Shin, seeing it as an opportunity to spend the whole night with someone he liked under the pretense of studying. Yu also suspected that Shin was the one who suggested to Jane to pressure him, knowing he would eventually give in. This made him even more annoyed, but Shin still advised Yu to seize the opportunity. Shin also mentioned that, back when he was involved with multiple people, he never had an advantageous situation like this. Moreover, Yu had only reaped what he had sown. After all, the day Yu and Himari had an intimate moment in the room, Jin had seen them and felt incredibly jealous. While Yu was trying to find a way to politely reject Jin, his mischievous best friend unexpectedly suggested having the study session at Yu's place. Himari could stay over because they were close, but Jin was a different matter. However, Himari could not refuse Jin as she had already agreed to let her stay. And standing before the cute Himari, Yu couldn't find it in himself to say no. At that moment, the two girls came to ask Himari for a favor, so she asked them to continue studying while she took care of things, leaving Yu in a helpless situation. Yu rushed home to clean up his messy room. He also planned to find a way to prevent his sister from meeting Jin. Just as Yu finished tidying up, Jin arrived at his house. Today, she was wearing casual clothes, and she had decorated her hair with the hairpin Yu had given her, making her seem even more adorable. Yu's family ran a convenience store, so they spent most of their time there, leaving only the two of them in the house before Himari arrived. Although Yu made accessories from flowers, there wasn't a single flower in his house because he had planted them in places where the pets couldn't destroy them. Some flowers were even harmful to pets. Afterward, he took a pot of sage and placed it on his study desk. The pleasant scent of the flower made him keep it close while studying or playing games, which Jin found to be a very practical preference. Yu began reviewing his homework from the previous day and asked Jin if she could explain it to him. Jin, confident in her abilities, assured him she could answer everything because she was second in the entire grade, which surprised Yu. He hadn't expected that Shin was the top student in their grade. All of Yu's friends were great students, and he felt like the only one who was struggling. While they were studying, Jin unintentionally created some flirtatious poses, which caused Yu to step outside to clear his mind. Unlike Himari, Jane didn't do this on purpose. When Yu returned to the room, he found Jin sleeping, hugging his pillow. After waking up, Jane explained that she hadn't forgotten the scent of the sage and mistakenly thought it was the smell on Yu's bed. Yu, still somewhat naive, believed her, thinking that he must have spilled some sage tea on the bed, which made Jin confused. Jin tried the sage tea that Yu had made and realized it smelled the same. So, she smelled his pillow and compared the scents, which made Yu feel awkward for her. However, Jin didn't stop, because she liked Yu. This reminded Yu of the time when he and Himari were in a cold war. Back then, Yu had planned to use all the flowers in the club to make accessories before going to Tokyo with Himari. With Jane's help, after the task was done, Jin confessed that she had liked Yu for 7 years. But he had turned her down. Yu wondered what would have happened if he had realized his feelings for Himari earlier. Since that confession, Jane had never hesitated to be close to him. Back in the present, after tutoring Yu, Jane fell asleep on his bed. Yu realized that she was completely comfortable being with him, even though he had rejected her feelings earlier. Yu was about to wake her up before his mischievous friend arrived. But Jin, still asleep, held his face tightly. At that moment, his older sister Sakura and Himari returned. Sakura, seeing her younger brother with a girl at home, was not pleased, especially since Yu already had Himari. He had to explain that he wasn't doing anything wrong. When Jin woke up, the misunderstanding was cleared up. Sakura immediately recognized Jin as Kureha's sister. Since they had been close friends in high school, every time Kureha went back to her hometown, she would invite Sakura and Hibibari out for drinks. However, Himari didn't know this because her brother always considered Kureha to be a sensitive topic. And more importantly, the 3 siblings didn't argue all the time like the younger ones. Jin thanked Sakura for accepting her despite her quirky older sister. And Sakura, though confused about what Yu saw in her, couldn't help but laugh at the similarities between Jin and Kureha. After Sakura left, Jin felt that she was much more pleasant than her older sister, who never notified anyone when returning to visit her family. Himari was surprised by how calm everyone was when answering questions in front of Sakura. Yu revealed that Jane had confessed her feelings for him when they were still angry at each other. Jin had confessed to Yu 4 times, which made the clueless boy quite anxious. Himari scolded Yu for letting his first love make such a scene. But she was interrupted by Jin grabbing her by the collar. At this point, Yu had to admit that Jin was the first girl he had liked. However, he wasn't sure if he still felt the same way now. Even a small story like this was something Jin had recorded in her love diary. It was also revealed that Jin no longer wanted to be friends with Himari. She supported both of them but secretly wanted to take Yu to Tokyo. But Jin acknowledged her mistakes and realized that only by doing her best would she have the right to complain. While Yu and Himari had been together for 2 years, Jin had done nothing for Yu in the past 7 years. So, she decided to be number 1 in Yu's heart and become Himari's best friend. She even offered to help Himari behind the scenes as a member of the club, which Himari accepted. On their way home, Himari was reminded by her brother about Yu's situation. However, she believed her brother also still kept the contact of his ex. Kureha. Bari advised her not to worry about Yu and instead focus on changing herself to stay close to him. He scolded her for being Yu's best friend but only causing trouble for him, like making him work through the night making accessories without any time to study. Himari could start changing by not lying anymore, as she often lied to avoid putting things in awkward situations. If she didn't fix that, she would become the kind of girl who doesn't face her problems. Himari agreed to change, but she wanted to know how honest she should be, which made Bari very annoyed. So he stopped the car to give her a lesson. Meanwhile, Yu had scored full marks in the re-exam, but he was still scolded by the teacher for not studying seriously when he had the ability. Summer has arrived, bringing with it the unmistakable heat and a shift in the school uniform style. Jin has finally joined the trend, and after a sluggish break, he's now fully immersed in working on accessories to boost his creativity. One day at school, he ran into Himari, dressed in the classic summer uniform that perfectly captured youthful energy. Since they are close friends, she knows exactly what Jin likes. Yu tried to steer the conversation elsewhere because last year Himari had embarrassed him a lot. But she wasn't about to let it go. However, through all the teasing, Yu gained some valuable experience. He wasn't worried about the whole class misunderstanding that they were dating. But what surprised him was Himari's expression, a look like, "I've been waiting for this day for a long time." Then, even though they were in class, she leaned in close to Yu's face, not to kiss, but to give him a playful flick. As expected, his cheeky best friend always had the upper hand. Even though both of them knew it was just a joke, they couldn't help but secretly hope it would become reality someday. Today, Jane didn't have band practice, so she came to meet her 2 friends at the club after school. Yu complimented Jane on how good she looked in the summer uniform, which immediately triggered a jealous expression on her face. At the club, they were dealing with some leftover inventory, so Jane suggested promoting the products by posting pictures online. While they were chatting, two friends, Oh and Mao, showed up. They came to ask about some accessories Yu had made for them before. Yu brought out the stock so both could freely choose what they wanted. However, the two wanted custom-made accessories just for themselves. Creating custom items would cost more, and most importantly, require Yu's full dedication. A month later was the anniversary of Mao and her boyfriend, and she asked Yu to design a matching set for the couple. This thrilled Yu since it was his first time making couple accessories. Yet, these two customers were quite demanding, making Yu exhausted. Meanwhile, Jane carefully observed Yu's expressions to keep the perspective neutral. Now, Yu's club not only had to create Mao's custom pieces but also clear out the warehouse stock. Because, over time, flowers tend to fade, the next accessory Yu would choose featured Conus moss flowers. Symbolizing perseverance, Yu felt that instead of simply expressing love, the couple's true strength was their sincerity toward each other. Outsiders might think his perspective was overly sentimental, but Himari saw it as the emotions of an artist. Regarding prices, their shop sold items higher than typical high school student budgets since most buyers were adults. Revealing Yu as the creator, however, attracted many students as customers. So Yu decided to learn customer service skills to help the shop grow better. He also saw this as an opportunity to break free from stagnation. As his sister Sakura had warned, a few days later, Yu completed the pair of accessories for Mao and her boyfriend. They were two gemstones, each decorated with delicate flower patterns inside. Yu admitted he felt awkward wearing couple accessories himself, but Mao really loved what she had bought from his shop last year. That night, Yu finished the final step, attaching the stones to the matching necklace chains. The next day, he personally delivered them to Mao, and suddenly his shop was flooded with customers. Yu received 5 orders in just one day. Rumors about his shop spread throughout the school. Even Jin's music group heard about it. Himari thought it might be time to hire more staff. However, none of the three expected that the rumor about Yu's shop was actually, if you wear Yu's accessories, you automatically get someone special. Earlier, Himari had recruited Mao and Oh as marketers, and they cleverly started this rumor, attracting more female customers. Although it had its downsides, Yu and Himari couldn't stop the two friends because they were so enthusiastic and were doing it voluntarily. So Yu pushed himself to meet tight deadlines and finish all the pending orders. Yu even had her future brother-in-law, Hari, set up a private workspace for Yu where he could work peacefully, since at home he was often disturbed by little Fuku. Right at this moment, Himari unexpectedly invited Yu to rest his head on her lap and promised to wake him when Jin arrived. Yu was about to decline because Himari was too lively, but he accepted, feeling lucky as an accessory maker. Yet when he lay down, Himari wasn't happy. She believed Yu would never lift his head if this went on. So Yu had to awkwardly compliment her repeatedly, copying the flowery words of Shinji. While there, Yu asked about Himari's own accessory and whether she was okay after her complicated situation with the notorious flirt Shinji. Learning that she wasn't interested in anyone now eased his mind because for a moment, he had worried she might like someone else. Not long ago, wondering if Himari had a boyfriend confused him, but now he just wanted them to stay together forever, even if only as close friends. Because of this, Yu didn't want to take advantage of Himari's kindness. This meant he had only one choice: to stand on equal footing with her. Exhausted, Yu soon fell asleep, making Himari think he was deeply focused on his passion. Still, she believed he had changed. Since before, Yu made accessories just to satisfy his hobby. But now, his eyes burned with passion, making Himari both excited about him and afraid he might drift away. Recently, many girls had asked Yu to make love-themed accessories, leaving the two less time together. This made Himari gradually lose interest in making love accessories herself. But as long as she wore their friendship ring, Yu would always be by her side. Himari also didn't want them to remain just friends because Yu's presence made her happier than ever. She admitted that this was the happiest time in her life, the moments spent with Yu. Today, Yu's group was discussing work in the cafeteria when the notorious playboy Shinji suddenly interrupted. Himari clung to Yu to assert herself against Shinji. But Shinji gave Jin some advice. And she nodded as if it made sense. Shinji also mocked Himari, saying she would lose to Jin. But Himari was more than capable of standing up to the flirt. Then Shinji invited Yu to eat together on the rooftop. There, Yu learned why the girls voluntarily marketed for him. Shinji noticed they looked genuinely friendly and revealed Yu's identity to them. Shinji's reason for inviting Yu was to apologize for all the events happening according to plan to support Jin. Shinji wanted to help Jane because he felt indebted to Jin, a debt so big he wanted Jin to be with the one she liked. Soon after, Yu realized Shinji's real scheme. A few days later, Yu was called to the teacher's office because parents complained about the high prices of his accessories. But Yu explained he had been transparent about pricing, and Himari still had the purchase receipts. He also assured that his products were sold following proper procedures under Sakura's management. Teachers were now discussing whether to approve Yu's business activities. Even if the school allowed it, parents might not agree, so the teacher asked them to pause current orders until a decision was made. Hearing this, Himari and Jane felt extremely frustrated. How dare someone spread lies about Yu's accessories? Outside the school, two students were furious because Yu's accessories hadn't helped one of them confess successfully. But she refused to get a refund, seeing it as admitting rejection. Angry, she stomped on Yu's hairpin just as he walked by, leaving him deeply disappointed. Himari immediately confronted the two troublemakers, but they wouldn't apologize. Yu saw the naive joy on the younger girl's face when talking about love. It inspired him to develop his feelings for Himari. Beauty is never perfect, and maybe liking someone doesn't have to be flawless. That thought made Yu feel even more pathetic than a clueless fool. Under the heavy rain, Yu silently lifted the cherished accessory he had crafted with care. After Yu had a private meeting with the school, even Sakura was called up to the office. The two friends who were helping promote Yu's accessory shop also apologized to Himari and Yu, explaining that their intention was only to get more people to know about Yu's work. Actually, Himari wished they had come to the classroom to apologize directly to Yu. But as the official girlfriend, she felt it was her role to comfort him first and score some points in his eyes. She still teased him with her usual antics, but this time Yu didn't even respond because he was very sad. Now Yu understood why Shinji had apologized first and even allowed Yu to hit him if he wanted. But no matter what he did now, it wouldn't change anything. If Yu were in Shinji's position, he would probably have done the same thing. Meanwhile, Himari and Jin decided to take Yu out for some fun over the weekend, even though he had just gone through a tough time. However, Jin didn't want to bother Yu because she thought that being obsessed with accessories was what hurt him, which made Himari quite annoyed. So Himari accused Jin of joining the club and saying such things just because Shin told her to. Although Jin never really meant that, Himari believed Jin was pretending to be clueless just to get Yu's attention at the perfect moment when he was collecting the returned accessories. My Yu is not as weak as you think, Himari said firmly. The accessories that the teacher had returned couldn't be sold again because they might have scratches. Naturally, Himari refused to accept this outcome. But Yu had no choice because parents thought their kids were being charged outrageous prices. This confused Himari because Yu was never the type to give up easily. Putting that aside, Himari wanted to plan a weekend outing, and Jane suggested they all go to a tea shop in the mall. Himari wanted to check out the summer clothes, but Yu didn't care at all. He planned to stop making accessories until graduation, which surprised both girls. Himari disagreed, reminding him that his passion for accessories was why he opened his own shop. Besides, the teacher hadn't banned selling online, but Himari agreed it was right for students not to sell products. And Yu wasn't strong enough to endure the careless gossip. Upset by Yu's decision to quit, Himari accidentally splashed milk in his face. She always loved the focused look Yu had when working, so she hoped he would reconsider. But Yu misunderstood, thinking Himari was saying he wasn't valuable if he didn't make accessories. Opening an accessory shop was Yu's dream, but he didn't want anyone forcing him to chase it. This made Himari furious. For a moment, she wanted to throw away all the returned accessories but stopped herself. Seeing Himari's harsh reaction, Yu felt he had been too harsh with her. That afternoon, Himari retreated into her own world. She told her older brother Hari about Yu's plan to quit making accessories. And Hari guessed that Himari would pressure Yu to keep going. She was afraid that if Yu stopped making accessories even for a while, he would lose his passion. Surprisingly, Hari praised Himari, saying she was doing very well. From the moment he told her to be honest with herself, expressing her feelings to Yu was not wrong. Whether Yu could get through this difficult phase was something only he could decide alone. No one else had the right to interfere. After all, creating something means facing oneself. These were just the first obstacles Yu had to overcome on his journey. Now Yu stood at a crossroads. Either keep moving forward or turn onto a different path. Neither encouragement nor comfort from Himari would change his decision. Therefore, Hari was very curious about what Himari would do in this situation. Even though he just said neither of them had the right to intervene. The strong friendship between Yu and Himari was built on Himari's kindness, which was different from the accessory-making business. Hari noticed Himari was overprotective of Yu. Himari and Sakura had teamed up to promote Yu's products. But when stepping into the wider world, Yu lost spirit and wanted to retreat to his own garden. So Hari wanted to know what his sister would do, both as a close friend and a trusted teammate in accessory making. The next day, Yu apologized to Himari for speaking harshly to her. But Himari thought Jin and Sakura had told him to say those things. Ultimately, she wanted to know what Yu planned to do with the returned accessories. But he stuck to his decision to stop making accessories until graduation. So Himari decided she would no longer be Yu's close friend because their friendship was rooted in making accessories together. Although Yu apologized for his behavior the previous day, Himari refused to forgive him. Building an accessory shop was Yu's dream. But now it had also become her dream. So she couldn't just give it up. Himari liked everything about both of them. But if Yu trampled on her dream, she would end their friendship. Himari wasn't going to sweet-talk Yu like Jane. No matter what happened, she would keep moving forward. Despite her boldness, recently Himari herself had thought about giving up. So that weekend, Yu didn't go out with Himari, and at school, they weren't as close as before. However, Jane was still around. That day, the two of them went to Yu's house to play games. Yu felt happy playing games with Jane. But she said he was a terrible liar because he liked making accessories more than gaming. Yu insisted everything ended last week and that he didn't want to go through that feeling again. But that was just another lie. If Yu was really that weak, how could he have spent 2 years playing games with Himari? Yet Jin's words irritated Yu even more because he didn't want anyone commenting on his relationship with Himari. This made Jane happy since Yu's honesty in front of her meant she had closed the distance with Himari. No matter how much Yu tried to explain, Jane didn't believe him because he was so bad at lying. Later, Yu brought Jane into his room. There, he suddenly asked who the earrings were for. Jin answered they were for Himari. Just as Yu had guessed. A few days earlier, Yu had lost sleep over that hairpin, wondering what his real passion for making accessories was. Reflecting on why he made accessories, he realized it was to make Himari happy. She was the first to see his hobby, his first true friend, and he didn't want to lose her. Yu felt like he was using others' feelings to satisfy his own desire for making accessories. He used to think his feelings were pure. But when he realized how selfish he had been, he wanted to walk away from that hobby. Jin suddenly flicked Yu's forehead, saying he should think more simply. But Yu believed only people like Jane, who gave their all, could find simplicity in things. Jane practiced music passionately and helped her family wholeheartedly. Though Yu didn't know, she often complained about working at the shop and being in the band because of friends. Besides, Jane had skipped band practice to come hang out. Whenever Himari and Yu fought, Jane saw it as an opportunity to monopolize Yu. The reason Jin refused to give up pursuing Yu, even after being rejected multiple times, was simply that she liked him. This was the 5th time Jin had confessed to Yu. For Jin, whether Yu quit making accessories didn't matter, no matter what he did. She would support him wholeheartedly. Once again, Jin wanted to know if Yu would choose her or Himari. Yu understood clearly that if he gave up making accessories and stayed with Jin, life would still be happy. But a life without Himari wouldn't be meaningful. Even after being rejected 5 times, Jin remained optimistic and cheerful. Then the two of them went to school together. There, Yu saw Himari tending the garden. But she immediately sent him away. Yu wanted to make peace with Himari. But she demanded he prove his sincerity by following her wishes once a month, which irritated Jin. Afterward, Himari apologized to Yu for lying about going to Tokyo. Though it was late, Yu accepted it because whether she lied or not, Himari would always be number 1 in his heart. So Himari punished herself by pouring water over her head. She still liked watching Yu. Even if he gave up making accessories, She told him to let her know right away if he ever planned to come back. At this point, Yu admitted that he made accessories to make Amari happy. But this had caused him to feel guilty toward his customers, which clouded his thoughts. This made Amari laugh heartily. It sounded like a confession. So she jumped on him, saying, "If you like that, why don't we just date?" Of course, Yu, being awkward, refused. Then the rainy season ended, signaling the start of summer vacation. That day, Jin's older sister, Kurha, returned to her hometown. Shin was the one who picked her up at the airport. This time, Kurha wasn't visiting Jin but came to make Ku pay for ruining her reputation.